Hello everybody, this is my Pro Wrestling Noah March 2nd, 2008 review. If you want to pick it up from IDP, that's Pro Wrestling Noah March 2nd, 2008. It was at Budokan Hall, attendance was 14,000. Somebody asked me if I could give them attendances and stuff like that and locations. I only do it with some shows. We started off the night with Gemba, Hirayanagi versus Akihiko Ito. It was a pretty good match. It started off a bit slow and the crowd wasn't really into it, but the crowd really got into it, and it was a good opener. Started off the night well. By the end of the match, it was 15 minutes long, but at no point did I really feel like at the start I felt it was dragging on a bit, but I knew they were heading towards something, and then when they hit it, at no point did I feel like it was going too long, because it was just good back and forth wrestling. 3.25 stars. It was a 15-minute time limit draw. Next we had Kishin Kawabata and Kentaro Shiga versus Tsuyoshi Kikuchi and Mitsuo Momota. All these guys are either old or move around like they're old. And this match was... it was just there. There was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing right with it. The crowd wasn't into it. I wasn't into it. But there was nothing wrong with the match. 2 stars. Maybe went on a bit too long at 10 minutes. But, you know, had to fill in some time with something. Next we had Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Shuhei Tanaguchi versus Mohammed, Yone and Ippei Ota. This match was good, better than the last match in terms of a tag team match. Had a better... because you had a lot more younger guys, the match was clearly a bit more exciting. And, you know, sort of just was all round better and more fun to watch than the last match. It was about the same length and just hands down better match. At 2.75 stars, could have been a lot better though. I've got to say that could have been a lot better. Next we had Akira Taue and Junji Izumida versus Kings of Wrestling, which is a team of Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli, known for ROH, CZW, indies in the US. This match was basically just a bunch of comedy spots with some fluff in between. Went on a bit too long. 2.25 stars. I wasn't really that impressed with it. I was amused by the comedy spots, so 2.25 stars. Yoshinari Ogawa. No, the next match is Yoshinari Ogawa and Kontaro Suzuki versus Doug Williams and Taiji Ishimori. This match was pretty good. Sort of had a similar dynamic to the Kanemaru Tanaguchi versus Yone Ota match, but I felt it was more high paced because everyone was a bit smaller and could work that junior style a bit better. I found it was about 13 minutes long, and I was greatly amused by this match. There's not really much to say. You got 4 great athletes, and there's no way they can do poorly in the match. To put on a poor match, 3.25 stars. Next we had John Akiyama and Takeshi Riko versus Akitoshi Saito and Masao Inoue. This match, first of all, I'll say I don't enjoy Takeshi Riko's work. I think he's boring, unless he's really motivated. And times when I've seen him motivated, he's like Batista, where he can put on a really good match, or at least a 3-star match with a poor worker or an average worker. But Riko, he just bores me a lot because he just doesn't have that kind of charisma that other guys have, and I hope he doesn't get another GHC title reign. And he's not really much of a draw, and the fans sort of dislike him, as do I. But this match was fine. Akiyama really saved it, and the other 2 guys, Saito and Inoue, were really good. It went on about 2 or 3 minutes, a bit too long. 3 stars. Still entertaining stuff, by all means. Next we had Kenta Kobashi, Kenta, Tamon Honda versus Yoshihiro Takayama, Takuma Sano, and I can't even read what I wrote here. Atsushi Oki. Yeah, that's it. This match was really good. I really enjoyed it. I felt at times it went a little bit too long, but it was a six-man tag with a lot of big names in it. I think it was good, a good move. Or I really enjoyed Kenta playing the face in peril in this match. You know, getting beaten down and Oki having goes at Kenta Kobashi being the disrespectful young heel, you know, smacking him, attacking him when he's on the apron, and all that stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And Kobashi just eventually got mad with him and just came in the ring and, you know, pushed the referee out of the way and beat the hell out of Oki. I felt that was a bit funny as well as, you know, satisfying. And Kenta was, you know, very explosive in this match. People often accuse him of being a spot monkey, but, you know, really he does play the sort of underdog type of role where he gets beaten down a lot and then he makes a comeback and then gets beaten down some more. So really that does explain why he's a bit spotty. It's just the role he plays. You know, 4 stars. This was a really good match and it really changed the pace from the rest of the show where it was sort of just and this really took it up to there. And Kobashi looked good in the match, as you know, since he's come back. He's, you know, lost a bit of a step, but he's still really good. And Takayama, he really seemed to go out of his way to try to make this match good as well. He usually does when he's in a match with Kobashi for some reason. Oh, that's just something I've noticed. Next match we had was Naomichi Marufuji, Takeshi Sugiura versus the Briscoes. This match I was afraid would... most of you would know this match for the Doomsday Device spot turned into a Shiranui. But I was afraid that at that point, or me watching the match, because you know, I've watched Briscoes a lot more than all of the fans in Japan have. I've seen a lot more of their matches, that they would usually fall into something that they usually do, which is, you know, because I hadn't seen the whole match, which was they'd put on a couple minutes or they'd go for about 5-10 minutes of standard wrestling, and then just keep going for 15 minutes, you know, of near falls, and they hit their peak and they keep going after it in the match. But in this match, I got to say they didn't. It was a lot better paced it was a gradual build up. It wasn't, you know, and then they keep going and it sort of just goes downhill, and then they finish the match. I felt the match finished on its peak and it was really good for it. At times I did question this, you know, the psychology, because it was just a few random spots. And another problem is they use these finishing moves, or the Briscoes overuse what would be seen as a finishing move, and there's just these kickouts, you know, in the matches. It's like, why use the move that looks like a finishing move if there's going to be a kick out? You're just making the move look weak, and you could do it with something else. I mean, I guess it does add to the excitement of the match, but I feel it's just overused. But other than that, this was an excellent match. 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then the main events of the night was Mitsuharu Misawa versus Takeshi Morishima for the GHC heavyweight title. And a lot, you know, people have questioned Misawa's in-ring work during his time as GHC champion, saying his performances don't live up to his place on the card, and people, you know, sort of don't, for some reason, just don't like Takeshi Morishima. I'm a guy who does like Takeshi Morishima. I think he had put on a really good title run in ROH, the third best ROH title run. He only had a handful of bad matches, but most of his matches were really good. It seems to me when he's motivated, like Rico, he puts on these really good matches, but he, you know, and sometimes he just doesn't. But he really has a lot of potential to do a lot better. And this is a match where I felt he really did really well, and the crowd sort of got behind him, as well as, you know, still. I felt the crowd sort of might have known, or, you know, must have known that Misawa was losing the belt, because they seemed to get behind Takeshi Morishima, which was nice. So there were some fans who were still behind Misawa. The crowd was, you know, really good for this match, as they usually are for GHC title matches. But Misawa really brought his A game to this match, for his age, that is. His A game would be a 5-star match 10 years ago, but he really brought his A game for a 45, 46-year-old man. Takeshi Morishima, did the best he could. Both of them, Mitsuo was old, Morishima's heavy, so the match was shorter than what you'd think it should, what a title match should be, but it was still a lot of fun and a really solid match, and Morishima really got over, and it was just a good back and forth type of battle, and hats off to them because they really brought their A game. 4 stars. Still could have been better, but it was still very good for what it was. Anyway, I give the show an 8 out of 10. Suffers from the usual Noah show problems, which is a weak undercard. All of the undercard matches could have been about a quarter to half a star better, and it would have made the show a world better. But but the upper card matches were all excellent stuff. Top quality, I gotta say. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, favorite, 5 stars, whatever.